Luxembourg is a multicultural and multilingual country. Luxembourgish, German, and French are the official languages, and many other languages are used in everyday interactions. Portuguese is one of the languages that is not an official language of Luxembourg, but is the mother tongue of the majority of immigrants. People holding the Portuguese citizenship constitute Luxembourg's biggest immigrant group. But who is Portuguese? Who is considered Portuguese in Luxembourg? Interestingly, the term Lusophone is often used to refer to Portuguese people from Portugal, but we will see that the reality is much more complex. In today's video, we are going to reflect on the Lusophone communities in Luxembourg. We are going to start with a closer look on the term Lusophone. So first, who is considered Lusophone? Which countries count as Lusophone? Such as the term francophone that englobes countries where French is spoken, Lusophone refers to Portuguese-speaking countries and people who speak this language. There are hundreds of millions of individuals worldwide who speak Portuguese, and beside of Portugal in Europe, several countries in Africa, Asia, and South America count as Lusophone countries. More precisely, there are at least 10 countries that are considered as Lusophone. All these countries can be considered Lusophone because they have Portuguese as the or one official language of their countries. The language is present through different forms, and despite its official statuses, its position in reality varies depending on the country. All these African countries showed before have gained their independence by 1975, but in most of the cases the language remained as an official language. So as said, being Lusophone is not merely a term that can be referred to Portugal, but should be expanded to other countries. And yet, not every citizen has Portuguese as their first language. Although the Portuguese language is, in theory, the main characteristic that connects these countries or communities, their historical dimensions and different power relations should be considered. For the case of the African countries, the presence or domination of the Portuguese language is the result of Portugal's colonization. Portuguese was imposed as the language of communication, but African citizens were not automatically put on an equal footing as white Portuguese people. So who is considered Lusophone in Luxembourg? What could be said about Lusophone communities in Luxembourg? What do we know about them? There are many citizens living in Luxembourg who hold the citizenship of one of the Lusophone countries. When looking at the statistics, the majority seems clearly to be Portuguese citizens, preceded by Brazilians, Cape Verdeans, Bissau Guineans, and others. However, the numbers alone do not give a realistic view on the diverse Lusophone communities. People holding the Portuguese nationality are not necessarily of Portuguese descent, or in other words, they are not necessarily white Portuguese. It can be estimated that of the 94,000 Portuguese citizens, 15,000 are of African descent. And as has noted Marquês de Melo, many of the citizens have acquired the Portuguese citizenship before or after the decolonization in 1975. And in most of the cases, they migrated to Luxembourg with a European citizenship. And as many articles have witnessed on these communities in Luxembourg, most of these African descents are still connected with their roots and maintain relations with the African country of origin. The citizenship of these Afro-descendants would thus not necessarily be synonym of their feeling of belonging. What is known about these communities? The questions that are thus important to investigate are: how do these communities live in Luxembourg? How is the sociolinguistic reality of the Lusophone communities? How can these communities be analyzed from a post-colonial perspective? Do all immigrants from Portuguese-speaking countries in Luxembourg see themselves as Lusophone? What about immigrants' descendants? While Lusophone communities are well studied, for example, in Portugal, this topic remains quite absent in Luxembourg research.